Welcome back to the deep dive. Now, if I ask you to name the most impactful liquid in human history, you might think of, water, maybe oil.
Or even beer, for that matter.
Right. But today, we're making a case for something else entirely. Something quieter, more fundamental, and totally foundational to civilization as we know it. Milk. You probably think you know milk. It's in your coffee, on your cereal. But we have a whole stack of sources here that show milk is so much more than a beverage. It's this ancient cultural, economic, and biological force that literally shaped us.
We really did.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. We're going to unpack how milk went from being just a baby drink to a global staple that influenced, well, everything from our genes to our food. Okay, let's get into it.
It's a huge story, and I think the key thing to grasp right from the start is that this isn't just about food. Milk is, well, it's a biological miracle, it's an evolutionary bargain, and it's been this silent actor shaping entire cultures.
Silent actor, I like that.
Yeah, its impact is everywhere. Nutrition, religion, the economy, even medicine. It all flows from this one liquid.
So to start, we had to go way back. We're talking 10,000 years, right? Just after we started domesticating animals.
That's the starting point. The research shows that almost as soon as we had sheep, goats, and cattle nearby, we started using their milk.
It seems so obvious now, but that must have been a game changer. I mean, the whole agrarian revolution probably couldn't have happened without it.
Exactly. And we have concrete proof. If you look at the archaeological record, especially in the Fertile Crescent, you find Mesopotamian tablets.
Wow, how old are we talking?
We're talking 6,000 BCE. And they don't just show people drinking milk. The critical part is they show them fermenting it. And that's where the story really takes off.
Because for most adults back then, drinking raw milk would have been, well, a pretty bad idea, digestively speaking.
A very bad idea. And that brings us to probably the most surprising biological fact in this whole story. For almost all mammals, including early humans, the enzyme that digests milk sugar lactase, it just shuts down after you're weaned.
So it's biologically designed to be a baby drink.
That's its only purpose, biologically speaking.
Okay, so how did huge parts of the world get around that fundamental rule?
This is where it gets really interesting. This is where you see culture and genetics doing this incredible dance together. Our sources all point to this unique human adaptation called lactase persistence.
Lactase persistence.
Yeah.
So the enzyme persists.
It persists. In places like Northern Europe, Central Asia, and parts of Africa, dairy became the super reliable food source, especially when crops failed. So natural selection kicked in and started to favor any adults whose lactase enzyme, for whatever reason, stayed active.
So after thousands of years of drinking milk, the human body just adapted and said, okay, I guess we'll keep this enzyme running.
That's the evolutionary bargain right there. And it happened incredibly fast in evolutionary terms. It essentially meant that the ability to digest milk as an adult gave you a massive survival advantage. It provided year-round energy, and you can see how it directly fueled the expansion of certain groups of people.
That genetic bargain is incredible, and it led to this huge global, well, diversification of dairy. We usually just think of cow's milk. It's got a high yield. It's everywhere.
It has a pretty neutral flavor, which helps.
Right. But the sources we have show this astonishing variety of other animals that have been milked throughout history. It's a real testament to human ingenuity.
The diversity is immense, and every choice was logical for its location. So, take sheep milk. It's way fatter, much denser than cow's milk, and its chemistry is just perfect for making cheese.
Is that why you get cheeses like feta and roquefort?
That's exactly why. You just can't get that same firm texture from your standard cow's milk.
And I'm guessing geography plays a huge part. If you can't raise cows, you find something else.
Precisely. Goat milk is a great example. It's often easier to digest, it has this distinct aromatic flavor, and goats thrive in tough, mountainous areas where cows just can't.
What about something like buffalo milk?
Well, if you go to Italy or India, you find buffalo milk. It's got this incredibly high fat content, sometimes double that of cow's milk. It was the perfect ingredient for the original mozzarella or for making rich ghee.
Okay, and then you have camels.
Right, in the Middle East and Africa.
Yeah.
Camel milk is naturally heat resistant, it's lower in lactose, and it's often fermented into drinks like shuba. It's the slightly sour, fizzy drink that's just vital in desert climates.
Then you get into the really specialized milks that tell the story of specific cultures, usually nomadic ones, like yak, llama, even reindeer and mare milk.
And their chemical makeup completely dictated how they were used. So mare's milk horse milk is really high in sugar.
Which is good for what?
It's perfect for fast fermentation. That's how you get the traditional Central Asian drink kumis, which is mildly alcoholic and bubbly.
Wow.
Then on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have reindeer milk. It is unbelievably dense and rich. We're talking 5 or 6 times the fat of cow's milk. A literal energy shot.
That sounds intense.
So intense that people often had to dilute it with water just to drink it.
So what does this all mean then? It seems like every culture just took whatever raw material they had and perfected it for their own needs.
It means that every type of milk is wildly different in its taste, its fat, its protein, and how you can process it. Nomadic tribes needed portable energy, right? So they'd dry these fermented milks into these rock-hard little balls called kurut.
Kurut.
Yeah, and you could carry those for months and just rehydrate them later for a meal. That's your motility, nutrition, and preservation all in one.
It's easy to see why it became so important. It's basically a pre-packaged biological energy bar. You get calcium, protein, B12, fatty acids, everything.
It was absolutely crucial for survival, especially the fermented versions with all the probiotics.
But there's a flip side. The research forces us to look at the dark side of modern consumption. As we said, most of the world's population is still lactose intolerant.
They are. For the global majority, drinking a glass of milk leads to, gas, bloating, cramps. So from a global cultural perspective, drinking plain milk is actually a minority activity.
Which raises the question, why are we so focused on industrial-scale cow's milk production?
That's the central tension today. And you also have things like cow milk protein allergies, which can be really serious, especially in kids. But the trickiest area is this ongoing scientific debate about very high milk consumption in adults.
Right, we've seen the headlines. Concerns about inflammation or even, paradoxically, bone fracture risks. What's the thinking there?
So this raises an important question, and it's really complicated. One hypothesis is about the high protein load. Some studies suggest that too much animal protein creates a kind of mild acidity in the body, which then pulls calcium from the bones to balance it out.
Potentially weakening them over time.
Potentially, yes. The other area is hormones. Milk contains something called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. It's crucial for growing a calf, and it helps human kids grow, too. But some studies have tentatively linked high levels in adults to inflammation.
But this isn't settled science.
Not at all. I have to stress the evidence is very conflicting and it's far from conclusive, but it's an active debate. It shows that what was once a pure survival food might need a closer look in our modern, food-abundant world.
That context is so important.
Yeah.
And before we move on from the liquid itself, we should probably touch on modern processing.
Oh, absolutely. That defines our entire modern experience of milk. Pasteurization, for safety, kills bacteria, but it also changes some of those delicate aromatic compounds.
Which is why fresh farm milk tastes different.
Exactly. And then you have UHT ultra-high temperature processing. That's what makes milk shelf stable for months. It's a logistical miracle, but it definitely changes the taste. It can give it a slightly nutty or cooked flavor.
So that shift from a farm product to a global commodity leads us to our next point. Milk isn't just a drink. It's a chemical tool, especially in the kitchen.
It's pure chemistry in action. I mean, when you make cheese, you are literally precipitating out the casein proteins using acid or rennet.
Okay.
You're physically breaking fat globules to make butter. You're using specific bacteria to culture yogurt. It's all chemistry.
But the uses go way beyond the kitchen. Some of the industrial uses in our sources really surprise me.
They're astounding. You can connect it all the way back to the ancient world with cosmetics. The legend of Cleopatra and her milk baths for softer skin.
A classic.
But the industrial uses are just as profound. The protein in milk, casein, is incredibly versatile. Historically, it was used to make casein glue, which was super strong before we had modern synthetics.
Glue for milk.
And paint binders. But maybe most fascinating is its role in early plastics. Casein was molded into a material called galalith.
Galalith, what's that mean?
It literally means milkstone. And in the early 20th century, it was used to make things like buttons, jewelry, even fountain pens.
So an antique button could actually be solidified milk protein.
You could literally be looking at solidified milk. And on the medical side today, we have breast milk banks for infants, nutritional products for clinical use, and all the probiotic research that comes from studying yogurt and kefir.
Okay, let's wrap all this up with a thought experiment. If this one liquid is so deeply embedded in our genes, our diet, our industry, what would the world look like if we had never figured out how to use it?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, I think the world would be unrecognizable in certain places.
How so?
We'll start with food, gastronomy. The entire identity of Italian food, of Mediterranean food, it just collapses without cheese. No Parmesan, no mozzarella, no Greek feta. It's gone.
Okay, what about history and trade?
Think about Central Asia. The power of nomadic empires was fueled by their mobility. Without yogurt, and especially without that hard, dried fruit we talked about, they lose their primary portable energy source. The trade routes, their ability to sustain armies, it all shifts dramatically.
And Europe.
Medieval European cuisine would be completely different. Butter was an absolute cornerstone for fat and calories, especially in winter. And even animal domestication would change. Why would you breed specialized dairy cows if you couldn't use their main product?
And then there are belief systems.
You can't forget that. The role of milk in religion is huge. You'd have no sacred cow milk in Hindu culture, no milk offerings to the gods in ancient Greece. The rituals around kumis in Central Asia would vanish. Milk is genuinely a secret actor that shaped our biology, our food, our trade, and even what we believe.
It's a staggering journey from a simple biological fluid to this driving force of civilization, and we're still arguing about it and learning from it today.
Absolutely. It remains this constant source of debate and discovery.
It really proves that even the most common thing in your fridge has a deep, complex history.
So as a final thought for you to take away, just consider the profound impact of that one single genetic adaptation. Lactase persistence. It didn't just change diets. By giving certain populations a reliable, storable, calorie-dense food source that wasn't tied to the harvest season, it gave them a massive biological edge.
An edge to survive.
To survive, to travel farther, and ultimately to dominate certain parts of the world. That biological bargain might be one of the most powerful and most silent forces in all of human history.
A truly mind-bending perspective on what's sitting in your refrigerator. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We invite you to explore more, and we'll see you next time.